What's good, y'all? Hope everybody's well. Y'all know what it is. The Onyx Report's Black Masculinist news for the day. Found a piece that I thought was pretty interesting. Thought it merited some reflection. And this is mainly because this is something that any one of us can experience at any point in time. So I figured it was worthy of some reflection, right? So this is a piece that you can find on, what is it here? AtlantaBlackStar, right? .com. And it's entitled, I basically felt like they were trying to kidnap me. LA music producer sues LAPD after neighbor calls police on her white ex-boyfriend, but black man gets arrested instead. So y'all know how these kind of things tend to go. All right. So let's see here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it up. There we go. All right. So two Los Angeles police officers were dispatched to a Hollywood duplex in 2019 to find a man who had violated his ex-girlfriend's restraining order. They weren't sure who they were looking for and had no description of the suspect yet. As they approached the complainant's home, they spotted a black music producer named Antone. I don't know if that's supposed to be Antoine or Antone Austin, walking out of his front gate. One of the officers turned to his partner and asked, "Is this the dude?" Probably, the second cop replied. Probably. With that assumption, the two officers jumped out and ordered Austin to turn around so they could handcuff him. When a puzzled Austin tried to explain that he lived at the home and had nothing to do with what the police were there for, they wrestled him into custody. When Austin's girlfriend, Michelle Michlowitz, I'm not sure, tried to stop police from manhandling him, they heaved her to the ground as well. She was wearing a robe at the time, and the encounter rendered her completely naked in the middle of the street. It wasn't until after handcuffing them both that officers realized Austin wasn't who they were looking for, but that didn't stop police from arresting him and Michlowitz anyway. Now the couple is suing LA for the ugly ordeal, which they say flipped their lives upside down. According to Austin, they had to move out of their Hollywood neighborhood after the police encounter, and they still have criminal charges looming over their heads. Interesting. Says, I had these two guys I never met before trying to put handcuffs on me and get away. I basically felt like they were trying to kidnap me, Austin told Atlanta Black Star. You know, people like us, I can die in this situation. It can get really out of hand at any moment. Their attorney, Faisal Gill, alleges police assaulted Michlowitz and racially profiled Austin. According to the federal complaint, officers unlawfully seized Austin without cause, used excessive force, violating his Fourth and 14th Amendment rights, wrongfully arrested him, and violated his civil rights. Right? The suit also claims officers on the scene were present and had a realistic and reasonable opportunity to intervene and prevent the use of excessive force by other officers against Mr. Austin when they put him in a chokehold but neglected to do so. The couple is seeking at least $2 million in compensation along with punitive damages. Now they're making a push to get involved officers' body cam released publicly. Michlowitz is a 30-year-old singer, and Austin, 42, is a recording artist / music producer who goes by Austin. I guess I accidentally erased the end of that sentence. Austin happened to be pulling his garbage cans out for a trash pickup when the responding officers rolled up to his home. He was oblivious to the situation involving his neighbor. The way they approached me in their eyes, I'm already convicted, Austin said. When they pulled up and they tell you that you're the guy right out the gate, they're coming at you with force and you don't even know what's happening, but you're supposed to lay on the ground like a dog or run away like a dog rather than treat you like a man. That means a lot that they feel like they can even do that sort of thing to everyday people. Now, Austin is 6'5", black, and he tried to explain that he was not the man they were looking for. The actual culprit was a 5'7" white man. Right, ain't that a trip? The neighbor who reported the domestic disturbance even tried to interrupt the officers during the struggle with Austin, telling them he was not the offender. They ordered her to butt out and put Austin in a chokehold. the complaint alleged. Gill received the body cam footage last year. Both he and Austin reviewed it. They said the two responding officers are heard discussing the fact that they didn't know what the suspect looked like. Austin claims when he asked one of his arresting officers why he was being arrested, the officer responded, get this, I don't know yet. That was the response. Another one of the officers claimed his body camera fell off as he was getting out of his patrol car. Word. It fell off. Interesting. But when they were in a holding cell at the Hollywood police station, Austin said he could see officers watching the body cam videos and laughing. Wow. Well, this is one of those situations where, being black is all it's required. Except in this instance, they apparently hauled his white girlfriend to jail with him, which is an interesting trip. That said, this is one of those situations that I don't know how much preparation you can have, short of just not being in certain neighborhoods, but how does that work? You're in a white neighborhood, you're punished for being in a white neighborhood. You're in a black neighborhood, you're punished for being black, regardless of where you are. I mean, this is ridiculous. So in certain respects, there's no way out of this. And at the end of the day, it looks like being highly litigious is the only way around it. I mean, suing, especially when you have means and are justified in doing so, might be the only way to get certain people's attention, and making it too costly for black men in particular to be arbitrarily arrested just for being, right? The other day, I had a chance to watch a lecture from my colleague Tommy Curry, and this was one he gave at the University of Utah, I believe it is, where Dr. William Smith resides. Shout out to both Dr. Curry and Dr. Smith, good brothers who are active in black male studies, obviously. And Curry's paper was on racism as misandric aggression. In other words, he was saying that the way we define racism needs to be specified for a particular type of aggression toward black men, right? And he shows with a variety of charts, which are well placed and exact to the argument. You can find this on YouTube at the University of Utah. Dr. Curry, you can put in racism and misandric aggression. It should come up for you. And, in it, he proves, empirically, that when it comes to racism, it is far more accurate to frame it in terms of its antipathy to black men, rather than just a generic sense of, a hatred toward black people. And he does so by comparing a variety of situations between black men and women, not for the sake of tit for tat or trying to suggest that black women don't experience anything, but to suggest that the gulf is so wide between what black men and black women experience that when you talk about racism, it's far more appropriate and accurate to point out the disparities, but more so identify and redefine racism in terms of its attack on black men, its targeting of black men across the most important indexes. I agree with this, obviously. I mean, it's not even a debate as far as I'm concerned. But it's amazing to me how many stories like this we get. And one of the charts that I think completely blew my mind, I knew it, but I didn't imagine there was a chart on it. That's one of the reasons I appreciate Dr. Curry. But one of the charts actually shows that white police officers don't even attack black women in large numbers. Now, sure, on a national level, you have a number of cases here and there, but as a rule, they don't. They don't. They mostly attack black men. So that said, there is obviously room for such an argument, especially when you see cases like this. He was the target simply for existing, taking out his trash. The officers assumed he was the reason for their call, and were even willing to take in his girlfriend once she made it clear that she was actually there to challenge what they were doing. Even when the white female neighbor came out to say that they weren't the ones, or he wasn't the one that was the reason for the call, they ignored her, told her to butt out. So the point being, he was still the focus, right? He was still the focus, even though the suspect they were really looking for was a 5'7" white man they found a 6'5" black man, and that was sufficient. So again, redefining racism in terms of misandric aggression is I think a past due argument. In other words, I think it's long past due that we do so that we can actually start to put these situations up on center stage and look at them for what they are. I mean, misandric aggression. Be careful, brothers. Be safe. Keep your head on a swivel, and make sure if you find yourself in an incident, you do whatever it takes to protect your life. But if you can record it, or make sure you get hold of someone else's recording, please consult a lawyer. Yeah. So, I mean, that's all I'm going to say about the matter. Y'all have a good one. Peace.